Welcome to the Numbers People Live. Hope you're having a great day so far. My name is Richard Holmes. I am co-founder and director of an accounting and finance recruitment firm called HPR Consulting. I have been in Australia for 20 years. And the reason the show exists and why I'm doing this is because the last couple of years, everything we know, everything that's worked previous and prior isn't working anymore. For every senior finance role, we are seeing 200 to 400 applications and everyone's just getting lost in the noise. And I'm going to try and give you as many tips as I can. And this is going to be the first of many shows on Fridays. I've got 10 episodes planned for half an hour, and I am going to try and impart as much of my knowledge as possible and try and give you as many tips as I can to get some more conversations going. The market is bizarre, is the word I've been using at the moment. The last couple of years, you get judged on absolutely everything. One of the most recent examples I can give you, and I actually put it on my LinkedIn just a while ago, an analyst, a 140K analyst, was attending his sixth interview. This was a couple of weeks ago. His sixth interview. He'd taken over a month and a half to get to this point. He'd done case studies, he'd done presentations. And when you think about it, he'd spent 6 hours of his time. And it wasn't just that time, it was the time getting to the interview, getting home, the time he took off work. I actually don't know if you got the job. Hopefully you did, but it's just a good example of where we're up to in 2026. And it is, I think the word is bizarre, because the way we're treating people is abhorrent. Before this episode went live, I asked some people to send some questions. And a question that did make me laugh was a candidate messaged me saying, why do candidates get treated like garbage? And it's a fair enough question. Like, candidates at the moment, the candidate experience is beyond poor. I think we all know that. I have my own thoughts on it. I think it ultimately comes down to leadership and their lack of effort in changing it. But look, I will tell you more about what the market's like towards the end. I've actually got a slide with all my thoughts about why hiring is broken. I'm not going to put that up first because you'll probably just read it and then click off. But I'll let you digest it at the end. And look, as a bit of housekeeping, you can put your comments in as we go. I will try and address them as much as I can. And if you have them throughout the show, I will try and answer them as we go. If you're watching this as a replay, put it in the comments or send me a message direct, and I will endeavor to get back to you. So how do we differentiate yourselves? And that's what this show today is all about. So let me just put this presentation up here for you. So you're not being rejected, you're being ignored. And that's a difference that we're all seeing, right? Like, I think every candidate out there has applied to a job, and you read the advert and you think, wow, this is me. You look at the job, you might even use AI to tailor your resume even more for it. You apply for it and you hear nothing back. And the next 30 minutes, I'm going to give some tips. And even myself as a recruiter who's got 23 years experience, I'm changing things as we go. We have to be that agile. And some of the recommendations I'm going to make in this show have changed from this year to last year. So hopefully it's going to help you all. So yeah, the numbers people, like I touched on before, this is going to be 30 minutes, one topic. If you want me to cover off a topic, I've got a lot of topics planned, but if you want me to cover off something, let me know and I'll give you my thoughts on it. Like I touched on before, thousands of candidate conversations, lots of debriefs with CFOs. I hear everything, and every week I hear a story of which makes me shake my head. Like, every week, it's bizarre working in the recruitment industry. So why you're not getting interviews? And yes, it is the market. Without a doubt, the market is painful at the moment, but it's not just the market. So I have 3 reasons for you, 3 fixes. And over the weekend, I'm not going to give you homework, but I'm sure this will benefit you. And by Monday morning, you'll have a cleaner CV, a better first impression, and a LinkedIn profile that doesn't quietly kill your chances. Let's get into it. So 3 reasons you're losing the attention battle. The first is that your CV is reading like a job description. It's amazing working in the recruitment industry. Every day I get an application and the resume is poor. There's no excuse for it. There's numerous templates. There is millions of articles on LinkedIn. This is how you write your CV, your resume. And it's amazing. CFOs tend to have worse CVs than people more junior than them. I got one the other day. It was just one pager, CFO of this business, and it was a couple of lines, and that was it. So CFOs are not excluded from this conversation. So what I'm going to focus on is making this a sales document for you. Finance people are well known for not being able to sell themselves. Well, that's nonsense. I'm going to show you how you can sell yourself. The second part, I've learned this term recently. The first 6 lines are wallpaper. And what that means is that wallpaper is pretty boring, pretty generic. And to give you some insight, as a recruiter, we have a database, and a lot of recruitment companies use this database. It's called Job Adder. And we look at the applications, and rather than click on every application, it's got a preview screen. So you hover over the name, and it shows the CV. And that CV, it shows the first page. It doesn't show all the page. It cuts off say the bottom fifth of the page. And that is the impact. And that's what I see in recruitment businesses. I am very assumptive that that's the case with these applicant tracking systems in companies directly. So that first page has to have impact. You've got to address what they're looking for right there. You've also have to consider, as a finance recruiter, I get job titles as generic. I can understand what fits and what works. You have to understand the first human that's looking at your resume is probably not finance recruiter. They probably don't enjoy doing finance. I know that because all the internal recruiters I know don't enjoy doing finance roles. They tell me that. Fool them, I guess. It's their loss. So they would look at say you're applying for a head of finance role, and your current job title is financial controller, but in your company, it's the equivalent of head of finance. You just don't have that title. When you're applying for a company direct, they're going to see that title and just discount you straight away, because that human doesn't understand that you're the same. It's the same thing, and you don't have the ability to discuss that. So I'll talk about that later on as well. And also, you're invisible on LinkedIn. I am quite big on LinkedIn, and I hate to say this, guys, but most finance people, I'd say 85%, have got poor LinkedIn profiles. So I'm going to help you with that. So reason one, your CV reads like a job description. And like I touched on before, I was recommending the part on the left just last year. I was working with candidates on this, but we need to change the way we're thinking, and we need to make it outcomes first thinking. So if I'll give you some time to have a look at this and look at the difference. I was working with a candidate, and this line here got the CEO reading it for the first time in 3 years. He thought it was too conversational, but I disagree. Like, if you're a CFO and you want your peers to read the document, that's a big thing. You got the CEO to read it. It can only be a good thing. And I know it's more conversational language, but it's brilliant language, in my opinion. And the big difference in here, which I'm going to talk about in a moment, these numbers, 47 to 12, 12 to 6, first time in 3 years, we're giving factual evidence about what you can bring. This is what you've done, and this is what I can bring to you. Kill the dead weight. Every one of you probably watching this has got responsible for, oversee, and manage written in your CV as it currently lies. I'm not saying it's wrong, but I think we might have to change it. And I say might because, look, you do oversee, you do manage, you are responsible for it. But let's start changing our language and start using these. Money saved, time saved, decision enabled. And if you can't reframe it as an outcome, delete it. And I've been learning myself as well, every bullet point has to have its place. So when you look at your document, is it adding value? Am I going to get hired for this? And that's a good way to look at it. And this leads nicely onto the wallpaper discussion. So like I mentioned before, the preview comes up of your CV. It has to be impactful. And like I touched on before, most aren't. They don't stand out to me. And I'm going to give you some tips. I'm going to show you what a template looks like and what we can do to address this. So in the first 6 lines, you've obviously got your name, email, phone number. I'm also going to introduce a video, which I know a lot of you will be uncomfortable with, but I'll chat about that in a bit. It's got to basically address the role you're applying for. You've got to have the title in there. You've got to make it specific. You've got to talk about the industry, the team size, and a couple of hard facts. The numbers we talked about before, we're going to look at that. And I'll give you an example shortly for this. So, and I want to be honest with you on the example in the before, I was using this last year, but we have to change it. Again, I'm just going to give you some time to read the positioned, specific, and searchable one and the impact this has. It's great, isn't it? It makes such a difference. Who you're more interested in seeing, the one on the left or the one on the right? It's just words, but we're working with them. So let me show you a template that I've been working on. And I'll add this. Here you go now. I put this resume I've been working on into Claude and asked me to pull it apart. And it basically told me it was an excellent CV. I'm not giving myself credit. I've been working with this Claude and ChatGPT and different resume mentors and things like that. And this works because it's succinct. It gets to the point. It tells the reader what I am. It gives an idea of, I've worked in ASX listed businesses across construction, FS. I've led teams of 5. It gives them context. And here we are with a couple of lines. Improve forecasting accuracy by 20%, cut departmental overspend by 15%, because that might have been something in the advert I'm applying for. So when we look at this, these 1, 2, 3, 4 lines in that, and it's super impactful. You might have noticed this bit up the top as well, the intro video. I have seen one candidate do this, one finance candidate, and you can all do it. And don't say you can't, because you can. I recorded this video on my mobile. I did it off the cuff, and I'm going to give you an example of what it's like. I'm going to just play the video for you now. And yeah, let me know what you think.
My name is Richard. I'm an FP&A manager with over 10 years of experience delivering results for every company I've worked for. I'm currently working for a business called ABC Corporation, leading a team of 5 analysts and managing the overall function. My recent achievements include rolling out a new forecasting tool that has improved accuracy by over 20%. I've led a budgeting revamp, cutting overspend by 15%, and I've recently built a dashboard that has saved the team hours in terms of reporting time. What I bring is sharp analysis and people skills across several industries. So if you're looking for results and energy, let's talk. Thank you so much for watching this video. I look forward to having a chat with you soon.
It's impactful, hey? Like if I get a CV and I see this intro video, I'm clicking on it every day of the week. Every day I'm clicking on it. It's a differentiator. That video, I just did it off the cuff. You can even follow that script. Would you have a chat with me on the back of that? Maybe, hopefully you would do. And every one of you finance people out there can do it. It took me however long that was, a minute to do that. I know it's uncomfortable. The platform I use for that is a platform called Vimeo, V-I-M-E-O. It's free for a certain amount of videos, then you have to pay for it. I think I pay about $20 a month for it. But hey, look, if you have to do that per application, I know it's painful, but look, we're tailoring our CVs anyway. And you can, I guess, have one set video for a lot of your applications, but give it a go. I'm pretty confident. Well, I am 100% confident it'll make a difference for you. And the whole point of this show is to get more conversations going for you. And think of it this way: what have you got to lose? Let's give it a go. Let's try it. And going back to this resume, this CV as well. This is the format I like, right? I want to point out as well, ABC Corporations, the amount of applications I get, and it is ABC, and I'm like, who's ABC? And I've got to Google it and figure out then I'm doing the work. I'm doing the work on your CV. So put who they are in this context: 500 million revenue, ASX listed manufacturer across 16 sites. So already now I'm looking at this candidate thinking multi-site operations FP&A manager, and put your achievements first and put them results focused. So again, we're getting rid of the responsible for, the management of, the oversee this. We're making it factual. We're making it value add. This is what I've done in this company. This is what I can bring to you. Every line has got numbers on it. You see, 10 hours, 40 million. And I go to the next role as an example. XYZ industry, they're a mid-market technology business. Identified this, numbers. Your finance guys, you can put that in there. One little point as well, and I'm just conscious of time. I've listed it here: outside of work, hobbies, interests, Put that on your CV. It makes you a person. People buy off people. The video, if you do the video, people buy off video. And if you come across well, which I'm sure you can just work on it, you'll come across great. Everyone can do it. But put what you like outside: cooking, football, golf, swimming, whatever it is. It just makes you a person. People buy off people. Like for me, I like football and golf. Like I'm a Man United fan. If I see someone supports Liverpool, I'll give them a call and start taking the mess out of them. So look, put it on there. If you have kids, do it. It just makes you a person. And another thing to consider as well, a lot of hiring managers like using this to break the ice when they first meet you. Say they meet you in the foyer, that you know you play in a band or you play guitar or whatever. They start talking about that. And it's kind of a breaking the ice for those as well. So put it on there. And look, everyone's got some kind of hobbies and interests. And quick story for you, and this always makes me laugh. When I was back in Manchester in England, I interviewed this guy, and I hadn't read his CV properly. And then he was sat in front of me in the interview room, and I looked at his CV, and at the end of it, it said interests campanology. And I had no idea what that was, campanology. And I'll save you Googling it. It is bell ringing. It is those people who go to churches and ring the bells. And this guy was the blokiest of bloke. I used to do engineering recruitment. You'd ever see. He looked like a biker kind of thing. And his main hobby and passion was ringing bells at the church. And I remember at the time, I just didn't know what to do with that information. And was I judgmental at it? I had to kind of just reassess and reflect on it. But he was a great guy, and that was his hobby. And I was thinking of telling him, maybe take that off your CV. It's not a good look, but we left it on there, and he still got the job. But so let's carry on with this presentation. Just bear with me. Sorry, let me get off here for you. So it's just taking a while here. So let's jump on to my favorite topic, LinkedIn. Most of you have really poor LinkedIn profiles, and that's not me having a go at you. It's just the fact. I reckon 80% of finance people have got poor LinkedIn profiles. And I will give you as many tips as I can now to give you make your LinkedIn profile the best it can be. First of all, it has to match your CV. So everything you change on your CV this weekend, reflect that on your LinkedIn. It's really important that the dates are correct, the employees are correct. Even on your employees, if you're working for big multinationals, make sure you get the right one. It does make a difference in terms of searching for you. Your picture, for goodness sake, smile. I find it amazing that people use the passport picture for LinkedIn and they just look a bit miserable. Again, people buy off people, right? They buy off people. So make sure you smile. I saw one guy the other day and he had his dog on his shoulder, or a small dog on his shoulder. And it made me stop. And I was like, what? Like, I just couldn't. And he was a finance guy and he had a dog on his shoulder. And I kind of liked it. It differentiated himself. I don't know if that was his theory to it or if he just really loved dogs, but it made him stand out. I'm not saying you put your pet on your shoulder, but look, have a think about it. And is there anything that kills the deal? The about section, use AI to do this. So work on your CV, go on to LinkedIn and test these things. So these are the fixes I'm going to give you. So you've got your CV done, get a photo done. Look, anyone can get a good photo. I used to have one. I took it in an alleyway behind a pub in Sydney. My friend took it on my iPhone. I had that on my picture for years. It was good. It looked kind of one of those professional ones with a brick background and stuff. My current picture, it's my face and it's an AI body. You can do that. I think I did that in Nano Banana on Gemini. It looks pretty good. Your headline, have it mirror your CV, and the about section is 3 short paragraphs max, I reckon, and what you do and where you're adding value. Again, use ChatGPT, use Claude, use your about section and say, make this better. I want it to be the best LinkedIn profile out there kind of thing, and make sure your dates are correct. One thing I was going to say, well, a couple of things. First of all, on social media in its entirety, this was a few years ago, and I think we have to be mindful of it. As a recruiter, when I get an applications through, I look at the CVs and then I get my shortlist going, my long list and the short list. I then check on LinkedIn and I want to just see what your LinkedIn profile's like. I want to see what your picture's like. I want to see what you like. Most recruiters do this. So just have it mirroring your CV and make sure you look good. Make sure you smile. Make sure you want me to give you a call kind of thing. with other social media platforms, and this happened to me a few years ago. We were down the track with his candidate. He'd interviewed there 2 times. He loved him. And on Monday afternoon, he was having a coffee catch-up, just a final meet and greet, and then the job was his. And on Monday morning, the client calls me, and she said, oh, look, we're going to have to put a pause on that guy. We're not interested anymore. And I was like, well, what's going on? And at the weekend, she went onto his Facebook profile. And this guy, unbeknownst to all of us, was a bit of a player. And that weekend, he was going hunting women. And his profile, I just couldn't believe it. I thought this client of mine was pranking me. I went on his Facebook, and his Facebook was just horrific. It was all about playing the field, the best place to pull girls. And I was just like, oh my God. And anyway, that guy didn't get the job because of that. And so just be mindful that, and I'm sure, look, this was an exceptional case, but just be mindful of how you're coming across, and that some people do check out your Instagram and your Facebook pages. So be conscious of that as well. So the final tip I can give you on LinkedIn, and I mentioned this before, whether it's the most professional tip I give out, but it just works. So this is what I want you to do. Over the weekend, try and find yourself on LinkedIn. So not your name, but what you do for a field. If you're an FP&A, CFO, search your peer group. Start looking through that search, and then you will see some profiles that really pop out. You will just, you'll be like, I really like this. That picture's really cool. That banner's cool. Talking about banners as well, I'll just stop myself. Banner, you go on a Canva, it's free. There's loads of banners on there. You copy it, you just put the value add, who you are. It's simple. I'll give you some examples in the comments later. Where was it saying on LinkedIn? Yeah, so what you want to do is have a look at these profiles and, wow, that guy looks good. That lady looks awesome. I really like that. And plagiarize to your heart's content. I'm not telling you to copy and paste. Don't copy and paste, obviously. But if you like hers for some reason, just make yours better. You can even copy and paste it into Claude or ChatGPT. I really like this profile. This is my background. Can you make mine better? And obviously make sure it's your background. But before you know it, you'll start going through that search list that you've just gone through, and your LinkedIn profile will be the best. Not the most professional tip I give out there, but look, it works. Even for mine, someone gave me that tip years ago. And have I plagiarized? Is my LinkedIn profile pretty good? I think it is. I'll probably need to work on it again, but it's a constant thing. So 3 things by Monday morning: turn every CV bullet into an outcome. Money saved, time saved, risk reduced. You know what I'm talking about. Rewrite the first 6 lines of your profile. You can call it career summary, executive profile, professional, whatever you want. I'm not bothered about that. And fix your LinkedIn, your photo, your headline, your dates. Make sure you're all aligned with your CV. And look, like I touched on before, it's not just you. With those tips I can give you, I hate the term "it is what it is" because it's such a fixed way of looking things. But the market at the moment, it really is. It is what it is, right? There's very little we can do about leadership and not changing the way it is. But hiring is broken, and people don't talk about it, so I will. And I'm going to give you a few seconds to digest this slide, which I've worked on. And yeah, it kind of covers off the main point. So let me click onto this for you. And this is why hiring is broken at the moment. Oh, sorry about that. Wrong one. It's fascinating, isn't it? It's like why is it so broken? Why are we all getting treated so poorly? My big thing is, and I think I put it down, is here, number 7. Leaders aren't leading. Leaders are protecting their own patch. They're not pushing back. They're not saying it's not working. This does not work. I've said to numerous clients over the last few years, apply for a job in your own company. And they'll go, yeah, well, I will. You never do. But you'll see the process. I heard of a story recently. I was listening to a podcast, And a guy in his company, this director VP guy in America for a healthcare company, he applied to a role in a different division just as a test. He got a rejection email in 5 minutes. He's doing the job in that company and he got rejected for the job he does. And I've heard numerous stories like that. And well, why is that still going on? We are over reliant on automation, AI. That I've talked to a few people recently about the Spider-Man meme, where they're all just pointing the fingers at each other. And it's AI adverts, AI CVs, AI bots, and it's just this merry-go-round of messiness. And we need to change it. And we need to get that human connection. Companies are trying to cut costs and automate recruitment, and it's not working. And how is this beneficial to the company? I'll give you some examples as well with employer branding. I know a guy, and I'll keep his name confidential. He applied to a company in an investment firm, and he was going to invest some of his own money, his own cash in this business. And he was good for this job. He applied for it, heard nothing back. He chased it up. He then got a rejection email, and then he was like, "Oh, that's a bad experience." And he was doubtful. Well, I mean, it's a highly regarded business. I'm going to invest my money in a company that are just ignoring me. Anyway, a few months rolled by. The advert came up again. He applied, same experience, and ultimately he didn't invest any money with that company. And this company probably doesn't even know he exists, kind of thing. And that was because of a bad process. And yes, it's a different example to give, but yeah, it's bizarre. But until leaders start leading and pushing back, we're always going to have this issue for the time being, unfortunately. And question and answers. So I have got a few pop through as we're chatting here. Open to work, is it an advantage or does it cry as desperate? Believe it or not, people are getting judged on it. I just hate it. Like the point of the open to work banner is that it shows that you're open to work. Some people, I spoke to a client, this was back in the last year, he said they're desperate if they do that. And I was just like, wow, like put yourself in their shoes. You're out of work, you need a job. You want to say to the platform and to the people you're connected with, I'm open to work. But it's a very 50-50. You can't win. If you don't have it on, you don't get picked up. If you do have it on, you get judged. It's a really difficult one to answer. I mean, as a recruiter, say I'm recruiting a contract role, you're open to work. Oh, is this person available immediately? I'll give you a call. It's just a tricky one. I think LinkedIn have to change maybe the wording of it is the answer to that. But another couple of questions. Big Four background versus commercial experience in the whole CA thing to CPA. My experience of Big Four, and Big Four people are good, commercial people are good. It's just a different perception. If you come up in the Big Four background, it's drilled into you that Big Four is better. So what happens is when they go to the commercial world, they have that drilled into them. So they believe that training and discipline they've had in Big Four makes them a better person. And it's hard for them to adjust to that. So they then prefer Big Four background people. Again, with CA qualifications, CA is drilled into them that it's a better qualification. Yes, it's a better technical qualification, but look, I've met numerous people over the years who are CAs who are really poor, and I've met people with CPAs who are fantastic, and I've met CPA people who are just horrific as well. So it's a really difficult one, but again, it's just opinion. You have to value people's opinion. It's one of those, I mean, opinion as a recruiter, I hear some bizarre, bonkers situations. I put one on my LinkedIn about a month ago. I had a candidate on a shortlist, 15 years in one company. And he said, nah, that guy's had it easy. Wasn't even interested in having a chat with him. He was one of the strongest candidates I had on that shortlist. He had 5 jobs in that time and didn't get an interview. And that was that guy's opinion. I thought, there's no way I'm going to turn this guy's opinion around. And that's, that's what we have to deal with. No industry background, no industry background. It's one of my bugbears. It always has been since I've moved to this country. Look, at the moment, there's a lot of candidates, so clients can be extremely picky. Hiring at the moment, the safest hire is perceived to be the best hire. It's hard to break that down and argue against that. But fundamentally, you've got to think about it this, and this is what I believe to be the truth. You have a candidate, one candidate's got industry experience, one candidate doesn't. They're both good candidates. the candidate without the industry experience is better. It's probably, yeah, got more potential, but the one with industry, they can hit the ground running. There's less training, less development. I'm probably going to go with that one. And that's what's happening time and time again. I've had roles where they're not bothered about industry, but one of the candidates has that. And guess what? The person with the industry experience gets it. It's a difficult one to adjust. So let me see if I can answer some more questions for you now. Do employers really consider your experience with what systems you have used for a senior finance role, or is it simply nice to have? The answer to that is it depends on the hiring manager. Like an example I can give you, which probably answers your question to the person who asked me this. A few years ago, I was doing a group controller role. It was a 250K role. We took the job brief, we went through the process, and this system used SAP as a system. We presented the shortlist, and the lady who was excellent didn't have SAP, and it was never really touched on in the job brief. Yes, it was in the PD, but it wasn't a prerequisite to being a candidate. Didn't want to interview that candidate because she didn't have SAP. And I basically begged this guy. I said, look, I know she had Oracle, similar system, obviously different, but similar kind of thing. And I hadn't even discussed this with the candidates at the interview because it just wasn't an issue. Anyway, I basically begged this guy to do the interview. She got the job. And during the course of those interviews, we said, who's a SAP guru in the business? We'll get her to sit with that person or send her on a SAP training course. Anyway, she got the job. Within a few weeks, she was up and running. She was fine on the system. And I checked in with the candidate maybe a few months into it. And I said, oh, how are you going with the system? And she goes, oh, I've not really been in it. And that just shows you the perception and how people are focusing on the things that don't really matter. Hopefully that answers the question to you. It's completely dependent on the decision makers. Another question that's come through: why do recruiters just ghost, especially if they say they'll get back to you? Send a 5-word text with an update taking 5 seconds, and more importantly, it saves the relationship. Yeah. Oh, look, I mean, ghosting is horrific. Like myself, my business partner, and people who work in HPI, we pride ourselves in getting back to people. Have I intentionally ghosted someone? No, I haven't. Have I mistakenly not called someone? I may have done that through a process, and I apologize if I have. But I think, yeah, I mean, it's one of those, we talk about common decency and being treated like you want to be treated like yourself. I don't know what's going on. I mean, a lot of the feedback we get from people is that I'm never going to use these recruiters because of the experience they have with them. You can judge recruiters on that. If they don't get back to you, then don't use them again. If you're in a hiring position, you just don't use that. I completely agree. They're sending a text. I put a post on my LinkedIn a couple of weeks ago. A text sends 10 seconds. Just let me know, give me an update. But for some reason, I think people these days, in the last 2 or 3 years, anything that's going to be confrontational or may require another conversation, they just don't want to address it. Like, people don't like confrontation, and it's weird. Why can't we just be humans, have a one-on-one with each other? But look, a simple text, completely agree with you. It just saves the relationship. And an update sometimes, and I'll try and do it to the people I'm dealing with, is, I've not heard anything, we're going to hear on Monday. It's an update, it's better than nothing, right? Let me try and get a few of these. The CA, CPA stereotype is real. It is. I touched on it before. CA candidates, qualified people, think they're better than CPA people. There you go. I've said it. Let me hear. How much of the risk aversion is tied to the challenge of letting people go in the probation period post-hire? Probation, people are scared of it. People don't use it. A few years ago, I remember back in late 2018, 2019, we were with this client, and they loved this candidate, and they had a couple of question marks, but they're still the best candidate. And we talked about the probation period. It's like, that's what probation's for. You don't know what someone's truly like until that bum's on the seat and they're working with you. And that's what probation's for. But over the last couple of years, I've seen people are scared to get rid of people in the probation period. I mean, that's what it's for. It's a week's notice. You try someone, give them a test. I say to our clients, in the first couple of months, test them, give them a project, see if they can do what you actually think they can do. But people are just too scared to do it. Probation period, a 1 week notice. If you don't hit your performance metrics, that's what it's for. But yeah, risk aversion across the board, it's the highest I've ever seen it. It's killing hiring because you've got the right person, but people aren't just prepared to risk. And as I touched on before, the safest hire at the moment is the less risky one. And it's I don't know whether I answered your question there, but yeah, probation periods, people are scared to use them. It's weird. They've got to have every tick in the box. Do you have an example of what a top 5% senior finance CV looks like? That template I've done with the top end. See, if you're a CFO, use it and make sure every achievement is relevant to the role you're applying for, is my tip. As well, with that profile part I talked about on your CV, make sure you address what they're looking for on their advert. So for example, they're going to acquire a business. You've got to have that in those first few lines, the first 6 lines of wallpaper. Make sure you've got your acquisition experience. If they're doing an implementation, make sure you put it on there. With say a CFO CV, it's the same. I'd argue it's the same. It's just got to be factual. It's got to be relevant to the user looking at it. Let me just get 3 more of these questions. How do you showcase transferable skills across different industries? It seems related to your previous comment about someone with or outside a specific industry. As a CPA, we're trained to be generic advisors. Well, 100%. You're just not allowed to showcase your transferable skills at the moment. Companies are being too prescriptive. I mean, yes, there's a lot of choice out there. And I think what it stems from is we've got 400 applications. If we want this, this, and this, they're probably going to get it. It's the path of least resistance. So how can you show your transferable skills? Maybe on that video I talked about, but it's difficult. It's judgmental. And I think we're just not really afforded the opportunity. Like I touched on, we need leaders changing this application system. But I think my personal opinion is it is going to go more to videos. I reckon in a couple of years, CVs, resumes, as we know it, they're not going to not exist, but I think video is going to be a bigger platform. And then at that point, we will be able to showcase transferable skills. But yeah, it's certainly a challenge. And I would say as well, talking about transferable skills in industry, over the years, I have placed people into different industries, and I've never had one of those candidates call me up and say to me, Rich, I just can't understand this industry. You're going to have to get me out of here. It's a conversation that doesn't exist. And you could argue as well, if I put you into a new industry, you're arguably going to try even harder to prove yourself, right? And everyone who's changed industry has been a success. And that's why, again, it's just interesting that companies are so against industry, people employing people without the industry. And I'll cover off. Yeah, one of the candidates I had through, guy I'm dealing with, my top frustration, and there's lots, is the exception that I have A to Z of experiences and skills for a specific industry, but I'm still not getting anywhere. All we can do is try and follow up, and that does lead me nicely onto the next episode next week. It's difficult out there. I mean, all you can do, every candidate I'm dealing with has applied for a role and got rejection email to a role I think they're great for. I think every candidate is experiencing that, and it doesn't make any sense, and we can overanalyze it every way. But next week, I'm going to show you how to follow up, and we're going to talk about this application trap. You're applying too much and it's killing you. It sounds a bit aggressive for a show title, but I think it's an interesting topic, and I'm going to show you how to track down emails, and that we're going to work on a follow-up email to the perceived boss of that company, because as you all know, trying to call internal recruitment or HR, or sometimes recruiters like myself, isn't getting you anyway. Well, not like myself, recruitment agencies in general. But hey, look, I hope that has been valuable for you, and if I've missed your questions, put them in the comments to the show. I will. The show has been recorded, so I will put it on another post. Hopefully, it's been value to you. And look, what I would say is just keep on. I know we talk about it. You've got to keep on being positive. Start every day. If you're out of work, work on the job hunting for a couple of hours and just enjoy the rest of your day, because otherwise you're going to be banging your head against a wall. But look. It is frustrating. It's annoying out there. It is indescribable what's going on, how candidates are being treated. But look, it's not you, it's the market. And just look, you know you're good. And hopefully with the tips I've given you today, it's going to get some conversations going to you. But look, let's catch up next Friday, same time, same place. We're going to go into the application trap and what we can do to follow up the applications. Until then, have a great weekend. Go fix that CV, and I will see you next week. Have a good weekend. Bye-bye.